Yuji, a young high school student, awakens while being chained to a chair. Sitting in front is a man named Gojo who introduces himself as the in charge of Jujutsu High School's freshman batch. In a flashback from the previous day, Yuji attends the school's Occult Club meeting at the request of his hospitalized grandfather, only to discover that he's been registered in the track and field team instead. The team's coach requests that Yuji assist them in winning the national championship. They agree to settle it through a competition on the pitch. Meanwhile, Megumi disguises himself and continues his hunt for the cursed object. When Megumi gets closer to Yuji, he detects cursed energy in him, but before he gets to him, Yuji runs to the hospital to see his grandfather, who conveys a symbolic message to him before dying. The old man asks Yuji to use his powers to help others so that he might die surrounded by people. Shortly later, the grandfather dies. Yuji gets approached by Megumi in the lobby after mourning his grandfather's death. Megumi says that curses are caused by negative energy and reveal the cursed object's true nature. Yuji's cursed thing is extremely deadly because it is sealed with talismans. He removes the contents of the box and hands it to the other members of the occult group while handing Megumi the empty box. The members of the club plan to remove the seal at school that night. Yuji is warned by Megumi that his buddies are in danger. Sasaki and Iguchi unwrap the seal at school and discover a chopped finger inside. Curses begin to surface unexpectedly, unbeknownst to the students. Yuji and Megumi immediately sense the weird energy right away. Megumi fights curses with his divine dogs within the building. Yuji realizes after some hesitation that he is terrified of death, but remembers his grandfather's comments about assisting others. As the curses multiply, Megumi and his divine dogs battle to save the students. Yuji shatters a window to save his companions. A curse assaults Megumi as he approaches to reclaim the cursed object. Megumi sacrifices himself to save Yuji and is captured as a result. Yuji attempts to break the curse, but realizes he can't fight back without the cursed energy. He almost puts his finger in the curse's mouth, but catches it with his own mouth and decides to devour it to obtain cursed energy. Yuji acquires Sukuna Ryomen's power after eating the finger and makes his way to test the newly cursed Yuji. Megumi intends to exorcise Yuji as he believes he is a curse, but before Megumi can act, Gojo arrives to check on him. To Gojo's amazement, Yuji discloses that he ate a cursed finger from a box, which leads Gojo to believe that Yuji has fused with Sukuna, a terrible curse. Gojo instructs Yuji to switch with Sukuna for 10 seconds to test his control. Despite Sukuna's assaults, Gojo dodges and counters with ease while also stunning Megumi with his unshown abilities. Yuji eventually regains control of his body, much to everyone's surprise. Gojo chooses to knock Yuji out and informs Megumi that if he wakes up as himself, he has the potential to be Sukuna's vessel. Yuji is confined in a room covered with seals while Gojo reveals that the elders wanted to execute him, but however, he was able to persuade them to postpone the execution since he recognized Yuji's potential as an agent for Sukuna, which is valuable to Jujutsu tech. They decide to postpone the execution until Yuji has consumed all 20 of his fingers. Later, Yuji pays a visit to two pals in the hospital and tells them that his sorcerer would arrive to treat them. He then meets Gojo, who talks about the horrible destiny that commonly follows people with curses. They walk to a mortuary, where Yuji retrieves his grandfather's ashes and consumes another cursed finger, displaying his ability to control Sukuna. Gojo tells Yuji to pack his belongings as a result of his decision. Megumi, who has healed from his injuries, joins them, and they bid farewell to Yuji's late grandfather. They travel to Tokyo Metropolitan Jujutsu Technical School, one of the country's premier jujutsu facilities. For Yuji to be admitted to that school, Yuji has to go through an interview with a principal who has the authority to order his execution. Sukuna threatens Gojo through Yuji's skin, but Gojo declares himself stronger. Subsequently, they encounter Yaga, who puts Yuji's ambition and determination to the test by attacking him with a cursed corpse doll. Yuji realizes his wish to stop Sukuna and live without regrets, so he succeeds in impressing Yaga and gets admission to the school. Gojo invites Yuji to his dorm and explains that with Sukuna inside him, he may be able to investigate and trace the other cursed fingers too. They run across Megumi, who is said to be living close by. There, Gojo expresses his thoughts about including another first-year student named Nobara in their group. Nobara takes the train to Tokyo's Jujutsu Tech. Yuji and Megumi are sent to greet her, so they wait outside the station for her arrival. Gojo also shows up and compliments Yuji on his new outfit, which he had specially made for him. The group eventually runs upon Nobara, who introduces herself and boasts about being the sole female in their group. Making Nobara's arrival a cause of celebration, Gojo insists on taking the group on a tour of Tokyo. Going against his words, Gojo takes Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara to an abandoned building near a cemetery where a curse has taken hold. Because Nobara is new to the group, Megumi explains how the fear linked with graves can sometimes attract curses. She also discovers that Yuji swallowed Sukuna's finger in order to gain a powerful curse. The thought of Yuji devouring a human finger appears to disgust Nobara. Now, Gojo reveals that the structure is a field test for Nobara and Yuji. He offers Yuji the Curse Slaughter Demon tool and forbids him from using Sukuna's ability since it can take over Yuji's intrusive thoughts. Their mission is to remove the curses from the building. Nobara acts bossy and directs Yuji to search the basement as she sweeps the upper floor. Yuji is the first victim of the cursed spirit's onslaught. He takes Gojo's words and uses the curse tool to slay the curse instead of letting Sukuna exorcise his body. Meanwhile, Nobara comes face to face with a cursed corpse masquerading as a mannequin. She hammers and nails its face, pushing the curse to unveil itself. As the curse manifests strength derived from human emotions, Nobara's experience is called into question. She eventually defeats it and discovers a secret child. When the curse kidnaps the infant, Nobara surrenders without a single concern in order to save him. But just as the curse is about to murder the infant, Yuji appears, cuts off the curse's arm, and saves the infant. Thanks to her resonance skill, Nobara uses her straw doll technique to exorcise the curse with a nail and her straw doll. After slaying the curses, Nobara expresses gratitude to Yuji for his courage and determination in slaying the curses so effortlessly. They send the little infant home after completing the assignment, and Gojo offers to treat them to dinner. Nobara reminds Yuji to fetch her possessions from the train station's coin locker. Despite Yuji's protests, Nobara is successful in sending Yuji away. Yuji seeks help from Megumi, who does not answer and remains glued to his phone. Gojo corrects him, noting that Megumi is grumpy because he didn't let him join Yuji and Nobara in the field test. Kiwataka Aijiki, Tokyo Jujutsu High's assistant manager, transports the 3 first-year students, Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara, to a detention center where a cursed womb has been discovered. There are 5 inmates in detainee block, among which 2 have the ability to generate a special grade cursed spirit. Aijiki explains to Yuji the concept of a special grade and tells them that if they come across one, their only alternatives are to flee or die. Their objective is to figure out the presence of survivors and to rescue them. As they reach the detention center, a distressed woman requests that they save her son. The pain in the mother makes Yuji take the decision of saving everyone else in the center. Aijiki constructs a cloak to keep them hidden from the outer world, while Megumi summons a divine dog to warn them of any approaching curses. They realize they have entered the innate domain of a curse as they further investigate the detention center. While Yuji and Nobara fear, Megumi maintains faith in his divine dog's ability to identify threats. They come to mutilated bodies and Tagashi, the worried woman's kid. Yuji wants to bring the body outside, but Megumi opposes, using Tagashi's previous offense as a reason that got him in detention in the first place. Yuji and Megumi turn on a heated debate on the consequences of saving people. Before they can resolve it, a curse drags Nobara through the floor, revealing that Megumi's divine dog has been killed. Megumi realizes they must flee. They are met by the special grade cursed spirit. Yuji, who is immobilized by fear, attempts to attack it but loses his grip and breaks his knife. Meanwhile, Nobara is stranded in a zone filled with mass curses. Megumi escapes with the help of Nu, his Shikigami, and gets on his way to find Nobara and bring her back. Yuji tries to seek assistance from Sukuna, the powerful curse within him, but is turned down. The special grade curse attacks them, and Yuji shakes Megumi out of his drowsiness, urging him to keep looking for Nobara. Megumi finds and saves Nobara, while Yuji, realizing he is emotionally and physically weak, feels like he will most probably die. However, his desperation causes him to realize that he must channel his bad emotions into his fist. Yuji strikes back at the special grade with a strengthened fist driven by cursed energy, enabling Megumi enough time to flee with Nobara. Megumi safely regroups with Aijiki and begs him to fetch a grade 1 sorcerer while he stays to deal with Yuji, just in case Sukuna gets out of hand. Sukuna finally takes control of Yuji's body and easily defeats the special grade curse. Sukuna triggers his domain expansion and slices the curse into pieces, regaining the afflicted woman's finger. Sukuna insists that Yuji retake control, but when he doesn't get an answer, he grins deviously, implying Yuji is gone, and which is going to leave Sukuna to take over the body. Megumi is waiting outside the detention center when he notices that the cursed woman's power has faded. As he waits for Yuji, Sukuna enters and informs him that Yuji will not be returning. Sukuna accuses Yuji of abusing his power without a deal and reveals that he has pulled Yuji's heart out in order to hold him hostage. Sukuna chews on another of Yuji's fingers to strengthen his control over Yuji's body. Megumi realizes that switching Yuji back will result in his death. Megumi has faith in Yuji and knows that his good side will eventually tame Sukuna, even if he has to sacrifice his life for that purpose, but currently, Megumi has nowhere to run but face the enraged Sukuna. He battles Sukuna, believing that he has an advantage because Sukuna doesn't have the heart to heal himself. Megumi summons Nu, his serpent, to tackle Sukuna, but the tables are turned when Sukuna overpowers Nu and shreds it into pieces. Sukuna compliments Megumi's technique and wonders why he fled instead of confronting the cursed womb. Megumi recalls his past with his sister's harsh curse and his father's abandonment and realizes that true fairness is uncommon. He decides to save people regardless of equality because he believes in them. He also says that he saved Yuji, despite his doubts, because he didn't want to watch a wonderful person die. Hearing this, Yuji regains control of his body. While slowly dying, he wishes Megumi to live a long life. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, 4 mystery figures consider using a Sukuna finger to test Sukuna's strength. They enter a cafe where only one of them is visible, while the others are cursed ghosts. Gojo meets with Ajiki and shares his concerns, believing Yuji to be set up by higher-ups of the school who put him on a dangerous mission of the Cursed Womb. Gojo threatens to assassinate the higher-ups, whereas the school doctor, Shoko, offers to dissect Yuji's body. Megumi and Nobara sit together in their grief over Yuji's death. Panda also finds them and notifies them of Yuji's passing away. Panda then suggests that they should participate in the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event to strengthen their bonds. The event is an annual competition among schools for sorcerers. Meanwhile, the cursed spirits seek help in overcoming Jujutsu sorcerers at a meeting between the sorcerer and cursed spirits. They wish to make their kind dominant over humans and prevent Gojo from fighting and allying with Sukuna. Despite the curse's belief that Yuji is dead, Sukuna's residual existence lingers within his body. Even though Yuji is most likely to be dead, his mind continues to dwell within Sukuna's innate domain. Sukuna sits upon a skull mountain, warning Yuji not to look up at him without permission. Yuji assumes he has reached the afterlife because he let Sukuna take over his body to defeat the cursed womb, so he begins fighting. Yuji is overpowered by Sukuna, who then explains that they are not in the afterlife, but rather in a state of suspended existence within Sukuna's head. Sukuna offers Yuji a deal, saying he will mend Yuji's heart if he agrees to let him use his body whenever he wants and to forget the conversations he will have while being in his body. Yuji flatly refuses Sukuna's offer and punches him, demanding that he be brought back to life without any restrictions. They resolve to fight to the death to see who gets their way first, and Sukuna immediately cuts Yuji's head in half. Meanwhile, Gojo mourns to Ajiki about Yuji's death. He aspires to raise sorcerers with progressive beliefs in order to alter the broken Jujutsu community. Fortunately for him, Yuji reappears and unburdens his guilty heart. Meanwhile, at a random restaurant, a wicked sorcerer named Subaru and Jogo plot to slay Gojo with the help of cursed spirits. They consider using Prison Realm, a specific grade cursed object. Jogo becomes thrilled about the concept and sets fire to a diner, burning everyone inside. He then reveals his plan to take over Prison Realm and slay Gojo by himself. On the other side, Megumi apologizes to Tadashi's mother for not being able to save him in the Cursed Womb operation. He then goes through combat training with the other students. Megumi and Nobara concentrate on close combat techniques, whereas Gojo personally trains Yuji on how to balance Sukuna's cursed energy so that Sukuna doesn't take over his body. Gojo informs Yuji that while he cannot master a curse technique, he may channel curse energy into his fists. Because Yuji is having difficulty bringing it to the surface, Gojo recommends he suppress his negative feelings through movie-watching training. Yuji becomes sidetracked while watching films and is attacked by the cursed doll. Before leaving him, Gojo tells him to stay focused. As Gojo walks outside, he is stopped by a sorcerer. Gojo and Ajiki are on their way to visit the principal when Gojo notices something unusual. He instructs Ajiki to stop the car and exit, leaving Ajiki perplexed. A cursed spirit named Jogo arrives and attempts to attack Gojo. Gojo, on the other hand, diverts his strikes and reveals that Jogo is an unregistered special grade curse. Jogo chooses an unpopulated area to avoid interruption, but Gojo effortlessly counters his attacks. Gojo exhibits his power by demonstrating Jogo that cannot touch him because of the infinity between them. He then launches a barrage of devastating blows, completely overwhelming Jogo. Gojo temporarily quits the combat to pull his apprentice, Yuji, into the fight. He transports Yuji to Jogo's position so that he can see and learn. Enraged, Jogo initiates his domain expansion, trapping Gojo and Yuji inside. Gojo, on the other hand, demonstrates that he can counter the domain expansion by casting his own. Gojo uses his own domain expansion to immobilize and decapitate Jogo. Hanami, another curse, enters and distracts Gojo and Yuji before Gojo can extract information from Jogo. Hanami removes Jogo's head and vanishes, impressing Gojo with his power to disappear. Following that, Gojo and Yuji talk about training and preparation for the forthcoming Goodwill event. Gojo wants Yuji and his friends to be capable of dealing the powerful curses. Meanwhile, Gedo and Mahito, the leaders of a curse organization, intend to shut Gojo in Shibuya on October 31st. Gedo meets Mahito and Hanami, who is still carrying Jogo's head, at their hideout. They plan to seal Gojo and promise to be as cunning as actual humans. Megumi and Nobara are conducting errands for Maki and Jujutsu High. Panda is concerned about a meeting with Kyoto's principal, worrying that pupils would attend him and be impolite. Aoi and Mei arrive with the principal and insult Megumi and Nobara's late buddy Yuji. Aoi appears to be uninterested in their emotions. Instead, asks Megumi about his taste in women, claiming that it reveals a person's character. Megumi and Nobara indirectly dodges questions which offend Aoi, so he opens an attack on Megumi. Mei holds Nobara down while Oa continues his assault on Megumi. Panda and Toge intervene to save Megumi, and Oa leaves a note for Yuta's former friends. Meanwhile, Nobara is shot by Mei. Strangely, she recovers fast and engages in a fight with her with Maki's help. Oi takes Mei's back, revealing his hopes to meet Takada, his favorite pop idol. As the two leave, Nobara inquires about Maki's purpose for becoming a sorcerer. Maki explains that she wishes to stay away from her sorcerer's family, who has continuously neglected her. In another scene, Satoru Gojo meets with Principal Gakugenji, who he shows little respect for because he suspects him of being a member of the organization responsible for Yuji's death. Gojo says that pupils in unregistered special grade curses with high potential will most likely dare to reshape the ancient Jujutsu culture. Gakugenji is irritated by Gojo's statements, causing Kasumi Miwa, a student present at the discussion, to counsel Gojo to be more respectful. Gojo foresees a future in which the special graded classification has become obsolete and everyone works to destroy the old civilization. Gakugenji orders Miwa to prepare tea, but she flees to take a picture with Gojo. Meanwhile, Oe sees his idol during a meet and greet event. A month later, 3 mutant corpses are discovered at a movie theater. A young man who can see Mahito, a sorcerer enemy, exits the scene. Yuji and another sorcerer are tasked with investigating this strange occurrence. A student from another school named Junpei is ragged by his classmates. Junpei is deeply resentful of those who despise him and often fantasizes about getting back at everyone who dislikes him. Junpei chooses to skip school one day to go to the movies. To his displeasure, his bullies are also present in the theater, bringing back memories of a prior torment. He realizes that they are captivated by Tsubasa's attention-seeking behavior and will go to considerable measures to win her favor. Junpei is met with even greater violence when he confronts them. Due to their destructive behavior, the bullies meet their fate at the hands of Mahito, a cursed spirit. Junpei becomes interested, so he walks over to his bullies' dead bodies and sets out to find Mahito. In an alley, he confronts Mahito and questions him about his existence. As Mahito's theater attack becomes news, the authorities assign the investigation to Yuji and Nanami, a recognized sorcerer. At the crime scenes, Nanami recognizes the curse technique used to twist the corpses, and Yuji amazes him by learning to see the residuals left behind. Nanami, however, isn't impressed and thinks of Yuji as a rookie who has a lot to learn. Yuji and Nanami then trace the residuals and come across a curse on the rooftop. Nanami recommends that they each suffer a curse while also believing Yuji requires leadership and protection. Nanami explains his curse technique to Yuji while they are fighting. Meanwhile, Mahito takes Junpei to his hideout and explains that curses are caused by one's biggest fears and natural disasters. He further entails about how he was born from the same fears as men. Later, Yuji and Nanami learn that the creatures they encountered were not curses, but rather ex-humans altered by a curse process, similar to the bullies at the theater. Shoko confirms this and calms Yuji's guilt by assuring him that they are no longer living. Nanami discloses that their target modified the residuals to lure them into a trap, emphasizing the importance of exerting maximum effort in order to find the curse. In a flashback, Junpei recalls a previous incident with bullies in which he attempted to recover a DVD from the club room, but instead became the victim of a brutal beating begun by one of the kids named Shota. In the present, Junpei talks Japanese wordplay with Mahito, who uses his curse technique to change the size and shape of human bodies. Junpei expresses his disdain towards humanity, emphasizing that their souls are more important than their figurative hearts. Mahito expresses his nihilistic viewpoint, claiming that life has no fundamental worth or meaning. Later, Yuji and Ijiki spot Junpei and gently pursue him. Yuji discovers that his classmates are performing well and is given a task involving weak cursed spirits known as flyheads. Meanwhile, Nanami visits Mahito's underground lair, expressing his disdain for slaughtering deformed and irredeemable humanity. Nanami is welcomed by Mahito as a sorcerer who is weaker than Satoru Gojo but powerful enough for his experiments. During a duel between Nanami and Mahito, Nanami finds parallels between Mahito and Gojo. They have a deceiving exterior with hidden strength. Nanami manages to break Mahito's arm and catches him off guard for a moment. Mahito starts a debate over the origins of the body and soul, claiming that the soul comes before the physical form and can be changed with his innate technique known as the idol transfiguration. Meanwhile, Junpei runs into his instructor, Sotomura, outside of school, and their exchange turns heated. Yuji steps in and distracts Sotomura, the flyhead, allowing Junpei and Yuji to have a private talk. Nanami fights Mahito in the underground lair and successfully defends against the transfigured people. Mahito tries to mold Nanami's soul, but is unsuccessful since Nanami instinctively guards it with his cursed energy. Nanami flees down a sewer tunnel to buy time till he can activate overtime mode. As the clock approaches 6 o'clock, Nanami's cursed energy rises unexpectedly, startling Mahito and setting the stage for a new battle. Despite their opposing viewpoints on life and humanity, Junpei, Nanami, and Yuji find themselves trapped in a world of cursed spirits and sorcerers with extraordinary skills. As he enters overtime, Nanami engages in a battle with Mahito. With his cursed energy, he launches a deadly attack called the ratio technique, aka collapse, which shatters an entire wall. Nanami quickly slices off Mahito's leg and proclaims his retreat as he tries to dodge the attack. Mahito appears to be crushed by the wreckage of the collapsing wall. Meanwhile, Yuji and Junpei remain together along a river, where Yuji attempts to reestablish contact with Aijichi. Yuji confronts Junpei about the happenings at the movie theater, but Junpei denies any involvement and claims to have only recently acquired the ability to perceive curses. Believing Junpei's words, Yuji sits down with him. Unknown to the two, Geto the cursed spirit watches them from a distance. The two boys talk about movies until Junpei's mother Nagi appears and invites Yuji to dine with them. Geto goes underground in search of Mahito. Aijichi finally receives Yuji's phone, but it is cut off by Nanami's call, who requests to be driven to Jujutsu High for treatment from Shoko. Nanami considers the threat of a youthful cursed spirit posed by Mahito. Meanwhile, Yuji dines with Junpei and Magi. After supper, they intend to watch a movie, but Aijichi arrives to pick up Yuji. Junpei contemplates the absence of hearts in people when Yuji leaves. However, his faith is strengthened by the presence of good individuals such as Yuji and his mother. Nagi awakens one night to find one of Sukuna's fingers, inviting a curse that ends her life. Nanami and Yuji, on the other side, are preparing to confront Mahito, but Nanami does not want Yuji to be compelled to slaughter transfigured people. He requests that Yuji continue to monitor Junpei, who is most likely being controlled by Mahito. Junpei's damaged heart becomes a target for the curse, focusing his rage on Shota, the bullied kid. Junpei returns to school with Mahito, while Geto watches from afar. They intend to use Junpei to manipulate Yuji and make a binding promise to Sukuna. They are also the bandits that killed Nagi by placing the Sukuna finger at Junpei's house. Except for his bully Shota and his teacher Sotamura, all the kids lose consciousness when Junpei enters the school auditorium. Accusing his bully of his mother's murder, Junpei ruthlessly strikes him. Just as Junpei is about to slay Shota, Yuji comes into the gymnasium and approaches him, requesting him to reconsider. Junpei dismisses Yuji's involvement, ordering him to stay out of his matter. Yuji contacts Nanami before coming to Junpei's school to inform him of his intentions. Nanami and Aijichi try to persuade him out of it separately because they have different worries. The patch-face curse, according to Nanami, may be present in the school as a result of a curtain cast there by Mahito and Geto. Yuji ignores the warnings and goes to school. Yuji arrives to find Junpei assaulting his bully Shota. Yuji fights Junpei, who carries a Shikigami curse known as Moon Dregs. During the fight, Yuji manages to grab Junpei and push him out the window, squaring to find the person responsible for Junpei's mother's death. Mahito interrupts them just as Yuji begins to resonate with Junpei. Yuji pauses, allowing Mahito to paralyze him. Junpei initially defends Mahito, but quickly realizes his error. Mahito mutates Junpei and forces him to battle Yuji using his curse technique. Despite being confined against a wall, Yuji is determined to protect Junpei. Yuji begs Sukuna for help in a grave situation, but he is turned down. Yuji's idea that these people are cursed is reinforced as Mahito and Sukuna share a dark laugh. Junpei eventually dies in his transfigured form. Enraged, Yuji lands a strong punch to Mahito's face. Mahito recovers and reveals that physical strikes against him will be ineffective due to his ability to alter his body. He intends to force Yuji to rely on Sukuna in order to form a binding promise with a powerful curse. There comes a point when Yuji and Mahito realize that killing each other is the only way out. As they fight, Mahito tries to touch Yuji's soul in order to force a switch, but Sukuna intervenes and threatens Mahito. Yuji decides to murder Mahito and begins a series of headbutts. Nanami arrives just in time to help Yuji, while also explaining that his techniques work against Mahito. Steady concerns aside, Nanami joins forces with Yuji and Nanami to confront Mahito and put an end to his menace. During the combat, Mahito shifts his body, but his plot backfires as he is attacked from all sides by sorcerers. Mahito flees by transforming into a toddler version of himself. The sorcerers discover that his cursed energy increases before it changes. Though Mahito shrinks back to his original size, he vomits miniature transfigured humans to assault Yuji. He focuses on getting rid of Nanami since he believes Yuji cannot kill humans. Yuji, on the other hand, saves Nanami in time, proving Mahito wrong. Nanami and Yuji synchronize their attacks and defeat Mahito before he shape-shifts again. As they defeat Mahito, he receives inspiration and activates domain expansion. Nanami is dragged inside his domain, keeping Yuji outside. Nanami senses fear, upon which he recalls a time in his life when he chose to become a sorcerer rather than operate as a businessman. Nanami is inspired to strive for humanity by this recall. When Mahito expresses gratitude, Nanami replies that he doesn't want anyone's pity since he doesn't regret anything. Nanami is about to offer himself as a sacrifice, but Yuji breaks into Mahito's domain from the outside, weakening the barrier. Yuji's strike compels Mahito to touch Sukuna's soul, and Sukuna punishes him by severing his limbs. Mahito, injured and bleeding, flees into the sewers. Nanami seeks the assistance of another sorcerer to remove the weakened spell and exorcise Mahito. Yuji's injuries, however, pull him back from following Mahito. Meanwhile, Mahito plans on murdering Yuji's soul during their next encounter. Yuji sees Nanami in a mortuary after recovering from his injuries, and Nanami tells him what happened. As Yuji expresses himself as guilty for taking so many lives during his encounter with Mahito, Nanami makes him realize that it wasn't his fault. On the other side, Junpei's school introduces anti-bullying policies and the faculty commits to exposing troublemakers. Yuji makes a pact to slay Mahito in order to ensure he never loses again, and he reunites with his sensei Gojo. Shogo is relaxing in hot springs in a forested region when Gito and Mahito interrupt him. Gito discusses the binding vows and Sukuna's failure to work with them. Mahito proposes that they win Sukuna over by offering their fingers, even if it means sacrificing themselves. Gito's objective is to steal the 6 fingers from Jujutsu High because their plans for Yuji are harmful. Gojo irritates Nanami while talking about Yuji's return to school and the Goodwill event in Tokyo. Students from another Jujutsu school show up to give an audition. Nobara greets them and requests souvenirs from them. Mekamaru, a judge, dismisses the Tokyo pupils, meaning Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji, but Noritoshi acknowledges Megumi's abilities. Gojo arrives late and discovers Yuji is alive, but Megumi and Nobara are upset. Principal Gakuganji and Gojo trade insults. Yuji apologizes and returns to his classroom. Principal Yaga outlines the basic rules of team battle, spirit bash race. In the Tokyo team meeting, Nobara punishes Yuji, and Megumi reveals To's power. Maki requests her weapon, but Yuji lies and claims Gojo has it. The principal instructs the Kyoto team to use cursed energy to kill Yuji. Oi storms out while Gojo and Utahan discuss a possible spy. Megumi confronts Yuji before the event and talks about their losses and determination. The Tokyo team finally arrives on the battlefield, but Maki pushes Yuji aside for taking the initiative. In the run-up to the Kyoto School's Goodwill event, Gojo takes the stage to host and get the event going. The two teams venture into the jungle in search of the Grade 2 curse. Yuji and Panda speculate that it is perhaps moving near them. Maki reminds Yuji of their plan to accompany Megumi's divine dogs to an exorcism of a weak Grade 3 curse. Their preparations are blocked, however, when Aoi unexpectedly emerges to confront the entire team alone. Yuji acts swiftly, delivering a powerful knee strike to Aoi's face. Megumi and Maki split off in one direction, while Nobara, Toge, and Panda went in another. Yuji's role was to engage Aoi and buy time, but he is determined to win the fight. Aoi quickly recovers from the initial attack and counterattacks with a strong punch, obliterating the Grade 3 curse and sending Yuji flying through the trees. Aoi then mercilessly stomps on Yuji's face until he appears unconscious. However, to Aoi's surprise, Yuji gets back up, expressing annoyance and blaming Aoi for potentially making him dumber. Subsequently, there comes a moment where Yuji avoids Mei's gunfire and Kasumi's swordplay, but he is encircled at last. Aoi gets annoyed by his friend's meddling, so he activates his technique, which causes everyone else to shift from their position except Yuji because he wants to save him. Aoi then approaches Noritoshi and orders him to leave immediately. Noritoshi applies a condition before leaving. He tells Aoi to slay Yuji if he wants him gone. He then leaves with 3 of his classmates. Aoi swears that he would not back down, not even in the face of his best buddy. Meanwhile, Momo observes from above and communicates with her squad. Momo is knocked out of the sky by Megumi's new the serpent. Noritoshi notices this and requests that Mei and Mekamaru protect Momo. Megumi and Maki confront Noritoshi and Kasumi as they separate. Panda and Megumi take the hint that the Kyoto team is attempting to slay Yuji, so they rush back to save him. In the meantime, Toge continues his search for the curse. Panda and Nobara arrive to mock Momo as she recovers from her paralysis on a tree. Noritoshi claims he has no cause to kill Yuji, but Megumi believes the big 3 sorcerer families have reasons to destroy Sukuna's vessel, due to which Yuji has to die. Aoi and Yuji fight fiercely and give one another an equal opportunity to counterattack and criticize one's moves openly. Soon, Maki witnesses Aoi's anger and realizes he is responsible for Yuji's survival. Meanwhile, Kasumi apologizes for the acts of her class and says that she is taking part in the event in order to acquire respect from higher-level sorcerers because they are authorized to recommend lower-level sorcerers for advancement, which Kasumi aspires to do in order to help her financially unstable family. On the other hand, Yuji and Aoi exchange some taunts. Aoi feels boosted to realize that his statements are spot on. Yuji, who is fighting Aoi in the tournament, exhibits his constant growth and impresses the 3rd year. Aoi, on the other hand, believes Yuji's divergent fist technique will be ineffective against exceptional grades. Aoi enlightens Yuji on the importance of correctly using his cursed energy and emphasizes the interconnection of mind, body, and spirit. After taking Aoi's words, Yuji leans forward as a sorcerer with this newfound insight, while also wrapping his body in cursed energy. Despite Elway respecting his friendship with Yuji, he prepares to confront Yuji once more just as the fight heats up between them. Yuji's will to survive leads him to new heights. Meanwhile, Nobara and Panda joke around with Momo, who is still stuck in a tree. As Nobara and Panda question Momo's involvement in an assassination attempt on Yuji's life, Mekamaru unexpectedly meddles and picks up a fight with Panda. Momo chooses to fight the first year, while Panda recovers swiftly and defends himself from Mekamaru's assaults. Panda, a one-of-a-kind cursed corpse, dominates Mekamaru with his bizarre combat style. Panda soon realizes that Mekamaru is being controlled by another sorcerer named Kokichi, so he asks why the puppet is angered by the word cursed corpse. Kokichi responds that he has a heavenly restriction, which makes his own body almost useless, so he has taken host of Mekamaru's body. Enraged by Panda's freedom of speech, Kokichi launches his most powerful technique, but Panda's unexpected transition into gorilla mode overwhelms Mekamaru. The conflict intensifies as Panda's gorilla mode cracks Mekamaru's defenses both outwardly and inwardly. However, Panda's energy runs out quickly. Despite being drained of his energy, Panda has the upper hand in close combat. Mekamaru fails to distract Panda and doesn't get the chance to open deceiving attacks on him. This allows Panda to win. Kokichi recognizes his misunderstanding of puppetry and focuses on his desire to be accepted by his classmates. While not taking the fight personally, Panda offers his opponent future support before proceeding. This gesture jogs Kokichi's memory and makes him appreciate some qualities of humanity. Before walking away, Panda uses Mekamaru's phone. Meanwhile, Kasumi and Maki's views clash in an encounter, which makes Kasumi recognize the real force of Jujutsu High's second year. In a flashback, Kasumi questions Maki's sister Mei about Maki's strength while they are practicing for the Goodwill event. Mei claims Maki is weak and will always be a grade 4 sorcerer, which reassures Kasumi. Meanwhile, in the present, Maki turns out to be quite the opposite. She kicks Kasumi into a stream and reverses her simple domain move. Kasumi disarms Maki and steals her sword. Meanwhile, Mei discusses the prospect of promoting Maki to the upper class with Gojo, but is upset when he does not agree. After Maki's fight with Kasumi, Nobara fights Momo in the following round. Momo uses cursed energy-infused wind and a levitating broom to assault Nobara. Nobara uses her straw doll technique called the hairpin, which releases exploding nails that stop Momo from seeing. Nobara now uses the straw doll technique known as resonance to remove Momo's control of the broom, causing her to crash. Nobara then assaults Momo with her hammer before being shot in the temple with a cursed energy-infused bullet. At last, she gets knocked out, making Momo the winner. Subsequently, Mei phones Momo to inform her that Mekamaru is most likely dead. As she's done delivering the news, her sister Maki approaches her and expresses her desire to battle her in one-on-one combat. Maki then recalls Nobara and Yuji complimenting her on her strength and inspiring her. As she's lost in her thoughts, Mei takes out the time and shoots her shot at Maki. Despite being absent-minded, Maki easily avoids the attacks. She then overpowers Mei. Mei realizes she was born with something she does not have, even though she doesn't wish to realize this. This has Mei recall the time when she heard the Zenins debating on Maki's incapacity to utilize cursed tactics, but she still admires her sister's bravery and determination. In the end, Mei considers Maki a liar and displays her dislike for her. Mei and Maki's battle continues as Mei forces Maki to use all 6 of her shots. Mei, on the other hand, discloses that she has an innate technique that she has kept hidden from her. She then reveals that she has the construction ability which allows her to turn almost everything into scrap by using her cursed energy, but it is harsh on her body. Maki uses her bare hands to catch the bullet Mei fires at her and demonstrates her amazing physical prowess. Mei realizes Maki's born with a heavenly restriction, with little cursed vitality but extraordinary physical talents just like Mekamaru, who is probably resting in peace now. Mei wonders why Maki left and apologizes for not accompanying her. Maki moves on to another place, leaving Mei heartbroken and believing her sister to be a liar. Noritoshi is chasing Megumi through a religious site. Despite escaping most of the cursed energy arrows, 2 of them manage to follow Megumi, but they are caught by his unknown chaos called the Toads. Megumi fractures one of the arrows and discovers that Noritoshi's approach permits the arrows to go against physics. Noritoshi challenges Megumi to call another Shikigami, but Megumi's divine dog is out of commission. Hence, they are both familiar with each other's skills. Megumi utilizes the 10 Shadows technique, whereas Noritoshi uses blood manipulation and initiates dynamic combat. Noritoshi uses his final arrow to distract Megumi before unleashing a tremendous assault that breaks his tonfa and demonstrates his intensified strengths. Kasumi, who has been separated from Maki, receives a call from Toad, who is using Mekamaru's severed arm to make the call. He then follows Megumi's divine dog. Toad feels a powerful presence closer to him. In another chamber, Yuhime is preparing to rescue Kasumi, while Principal Gakugenji recalls assigning Noritoshi a cursed ghost to kill Yuji. As part of their plot, Mahito and Juzo also infiltrate the school. Noritoshi, being an unwanted child, inherited blood manipulation. Since he felt unwelcome in his family, he starts serving as the heir to the Kamo family. He sympathizes with Megumi, believing that they both favor the big three sorcerer families and wishes to kill Yuji to become a proper heir. Megumi, on the other hand, opposes this and follows his advice to save others. As they clash, Megumi summons his newest Shikigami, which is a maxed elephant, and floods Noritoshi with water. New strikes with an electric attack, but their combat is cut short by branches. Toad orders Megumi and Noritoshi to depart, while the talismans monitoring the Spirit Bash race competition reveal an unexpected event. Hanami's branches capture the students. This allows Juzo to form a barrier and seize the kids. Sensei Gojo, on the other hand, realizes he is being denied entrance, so he instructs Gakuganji and Yutahime to move forward, while he confronts Juzo about the issue. Megumi attempts to contact his sensei, Gojo, but is stopped by Hanami, who intends for the sorcerers to die and become one of the Earth Monks. Hanami is pursuing Megumi, Toad, and Noritoshi and attacking them with wooden ball spears. Toad uses his technique to temporarily stop Hanami. Meanwhile, Noritoshi injures Hanami with his blood manipulation talent. The students continue their escape strategy, hoping to retreat and seek help from others. Megumi summons his Shikigami to attack Hanami, but Toga's cursed speech backfires, which start weakening him. Noritoshi becomes angry by this misconception, but Megumi saves him from being stabbed. Just as Megumi is fighting Hanami, his elder steps in and forces Hanami back with his last knight. Maki enters with a katana to slay Hanami, but he is convinced that Meki's katana will bring him no harm. Megumi finds Hanami's weak area and injures him, but Hanami regenerates swiftly. Megumi hands Maki a cursed gadget called the Playful Cloud and attacks Hanami, which pushes him away. Maki strikes Hanami from behind while Megumi summons Divine Dog Totality to hurt him. A cursed bud, however, emerges from Megumi's stomach and starts preventing him from using Jujutsu. Hanami takes advantage of this inconvenience and defeats Maki. Momo finally arrives to rescue Maki, while Yuji and Aoi evacuate Toge and Noritoshi out of there. Despite Megumi's concerns, Yuji insists on standing tall against Hanami. Aoi insists on seeing Yuji use the Black Flash technique. Yuji attacks Hanami but fails to use the technique at first. Aoi assists Yuji in regaining focus and successfully unleashing the Black Flash, which shows Yuji's already enormous, strength being on a whole other level. Despite losing, Hanami quickly recovers and prepares for another battle. Hanami evokes huge roots to attack Yuji and Aoi, but they all strike him at the same time. The roots, however, vanish into thin air while also forcing the two sorcerers to lose their footing. They recover by avoiding Hanami's next attack by using each other's feet. In the meantime, Hanami recalls a talk with Mahito, in which he was advised to view his instincts as a curse. As Yuji, Aoi, and Hanami fight in close combat, the action heats up. Aoi decides it's time to unleash his curse technique. In a flashback from his 3rd grade, Aoi is seen attacking a high school student out of boredom. He is approached by a cursed woman who questions him directly about his preferences in women. This, however, makes him assume that his life is about to get more exciting. Meanwhile, in the present, Aoi and Yuji are still fighting the terrible cursed spirit Hanami. Aoi examines the opponent's strategies and decides that they will win. Hanami, on the other hand, grips Aoi's foot with his roots and throws him into a pile of pokey spikes. Yuji engages in combat with Hanami instead of attempting to save Aoi. Shocking everyone, Aoi employs his exquisite technique known as the Boogie Woogie, causing Hanami to be stabbed by the spikes that were thrown at Aoi. Yuji, still taken aback by Aoi's Boogie Woogie, observes Hanami recovering and throwing shades at Aoi's Boogie Woogie technique. Hanami is repeatedly attacked by Aoi and Yuji. Aoi now uses Boogie Woogie many times and shifts their placements to confuse Hanami. As the boys use this technique, Hanami is unable to dodge a series of punches that are launched at him by the dynamic duo Yuji and Aoi. Hanami is expecting Aoi to unleash his innate technique again, but instead he gets hit by 4 consecutive Black Flash strikes from Yuji. Hanami is weakened by 4 consecutive Black Flash blows. This leads Aoi to find the right way to exorcise Hanami. Aoi switches Hanami's position with Yuji and protects him from the cursed buds with the Boogie Woogie technique. Takada enters unexpectedly and informs Aoi of Megumi's injuries caused by the cursed bud. Hanami is taken aback when Aoi deactivates his cursed energy barrier. Finally, the team pulls Hanami back to the river where their conflict began and leaves his sight. Now, Aoi recalls that Megumi once told him about Maki's special grade curse tool and how Megumi was always attracted to Maki. Aoi replaces Yuji with the cursed tool, allowing Hanami to suck the life power of the surrounding plants and convert it into cursed energy. Meanwhile, Sensei Gojo appears above the battlefield and prevents Hanami from activating his domain expansion. Somewhere else, Gakuganji fights Juzo, and his ally Yutahime gets attacked by Haruta. Nobara and Mei manage to show up to help Yutahime. Gojo arrives above them unexpectedly, leading Haruta to run. On the other hand, when Yuji returns to the fight with Hanami, He gets surprised to find his sensei Gojo, who praises him like always. Gojo confronts Juzo and knocks him out instead of taking his life. He directs Gakuganji to have Juzo healed so that he can be interrogated for the motives behind his sudden attack. Gojo notices that the curse user who attacked Yudahime has fled, and Hanami is also likely to do the same. To shield Hanami from collateral damage, Aoi stops Yuji. Gojo, who is determined to destroy Hanami, unleashes a strong hollow technique known as the Purple. Seeing his sensei unleash such an exuberant technique, Aoi becomes unclear of whether the curse has been lifted or not. Meanwhile, Mahito obtains Curse Wom, a Sukuna finger, and completes his goal despite encountering 2 murdered staff members. Haruga, the guy who attacked Yutahime and escaped, is seen strolling in an underground cave, complaining about his failure to take action during the invasion. Hanami collapses from the cave ceiling, tired from fighting Aoi and Yuji at once. Haruta considers killing Hanami, but is automatically stopped by Mahito's arrival. When Haruta inquires about the mission, Mahito says that it has been completed. Geto discusses Tenjin's barrier with Mahito, Hanami, and Jogo in a flashback. In the present, Jogo gets captivated by Tenjin, an eternal sorcerer. He wonders who is stronger, Tenjin or Gojo. Geto also makes an entrance and assures them that they need not be concerned. When Hanami considers sealing Gojo, Geto explains that their main purpose is to protect Mahito, and they don't want to draw Gojo's notice by taking this measure. In a flashback, Geto believes that one of Jujutsu High's students is a threat to Sukuna, and that killing him could jeopardize their goals. Jomo suggests sealing Sukuna's vessel, but Geto says Sukuna is a threat to both them and Jujutsu High. Back in the present, Mahito assists Hanami in her ascent through the underground tunnel. Hanami speaks of fighting his urges to slay someone as he has stopped slaying people. Surprisingly, this pleases Mahito, who observes that Hanami is growing more like a cursed spirit. Meanwhile, Yuji discloses to Tokyo Jujutsu High that Mahito was responsible for the casualties and the theft of cursed goods. There is some debate about whether or not to notify the students and other sorcerers, but it is decided to keep it a secret between the management. They discover that the captured cursed user was tricked during the raid by a white-haired monk. Gojo denies knowing anything about the androgynous monk kid, which is stated by Mai. Gojo further speculates that the student's contact with a particular grade cursed spirit must have assisted the intruders in bypassing Tenjin's barrier, which is weak against plants and is only designed for concealing, not the defense. The principals consider canceling the Goodwill event, but Gojo insists that it is not their decision to make. Meanwhile, Yuji and Nobara pay a visit to Megumi in the hospital. They talk about recent occurrences. Subsequently, Yuji attempts to avoid Aoi because of his unusual behavior after their previous encounter, which has left their bond unanswered. The next day, Gojo meets with the students to discuss whether the Goodwill event should be continued. Yuji and others are nervous, but Aoi gives strong reasons for continuing and further persuades the rest of the students to follow his ideology. Gojo removes the individual component of the event and has Yuji choose a team event at random, resulting in baseball. The game begins and different interactions and plays between the teams take place. Yuji hits a home run to give Tokyo High the victory in the Kyoto Goodwill event. Teichi gets home to find his apartment's auto-locked doors unlocked, which he complains about to the building management. Unbeknownst to him, he is being pursued by a cursed ghost and he is stabbed to death, becoming yet another victim of Tokyo Jujutsu High. The auxiliary manager, Akari Nida, takes the first-year students Megumi, Nobara, and Yuji to their mission site while explaining the link between their deaths. They went to the same junior high for the past 2 years, which suggests that they were cursed at that time. Megumi, on the other hand, wonders how the same cursed spirit could have traveled to numerous locations and eras. When they go to a funeral to question students who knew the victims, they discover that the deceased building manager was killed in the same way. Nobara suggests approaching several punks to acquire information at another school. Yuji and Nobara question Megumi about his conduct at the school, and the punks explain that he had beaten up local troublemakers. A member of the school staff interrupts the group, but Akari takes care of the situation. Another staff member grabs their attention by mentioning the Yasuhachi Bridge, which is renowned for the sightings of paranormal activities and suicide. Despite discovering no sign of a curse, they proceed to inspect the bridge. A punk approaches Megumi and explains that Megumi's sister once visited the bridge and encountered unusual happenings. Hearing this, Megumi tries to get help, but when he senses the danger, he decides to confront it on his own. Yuji and Nobara come upon Megumi at the bridge, and he informs them that his sister is in danger. They enter the plague spirit's territory, where they face a mole-like spirit, who is also joined by another cursed spirit from the death-painting Worms. Yuji deals with the new menace, while Megumi and Nobara deal with the domain's curse. Megumi and Nobara battle the mole-like cursed spirit, while Yuji faces Kechizu alone. Yuji manages to avoid Kechizu's blood assaults and lands a hard kick that knocks him out. At the same time, Megumi and Nobara use their separate techniques to combat the cursed spirit, but are unable to capture it. As they continue fighting, Megumi realizes that the curse's enlarged technique is draining his main body. Suddenly, Nobara is removed from the barrier by an unknown person, but she encourages Megumi to continue fighting. While overpowering Yuji in a battle, Kechizu detects his older brother's presence and flees. Yuji is put in a state of shock to see someone so strong run away like a coward. Megumi tells Yuji to go after Kechizu because he suspects that what Nobara is experiencing is more difficult. Nobara meets the strange monster named Iso, who takes her out. Nobara defends herself with her hammer outside the barrier. Iso proposes recovering Sukuna's finger. Megumi overcomes the mole-like curse inside the domain but is astonished when another curse, identical to the one he encountered earlier, appears. Megumi has been outmatched and his sword is broken. His divine dog saves him, but Megumi suffers injuries. He is determined, so he activates domain expansion and unleashes his entire strength. Megumi attacks the curse with his shadows and eventually defeats it. Megumi recalls his training with Gojo and believes in his abilities. Finally, Megumi sits down and recounts his troubled past while holding Sukuna's finger. Eso and Nobara see the appearance of Sukuna's finger, but Yuji and Kechizu's presence frightens Eso unintentionally. Nobara attacks Iso, which provokes his rage, which makes Iso launch his lethal technique. Yuji and Nobara continue to battle Kechizu and Iso. Kechizu surprises them and spits his dark blood on Yuji as he carries Nobara to flee faster. Meanwhile, Iso explains why their blood is poisonous and where the death-painting worms came from. Nobara uses her straw doll technique to inflict her pain on Iso and Kechizu, but they realize they can't kill the two evils. Yuji works as Sukuna's vessel and repels their blows, eventually defeating Kechizu with cursed energy punches. Eso, desperate to rescue his brother, grabs a prisoner and flees on a truck. Nobara kills Kechizu by detonating the nail in his head. Yuji punches Iso in the chest, and they both die as a result. Choso predicts their deaths, which disappoints Mahito. Back at Yasuhachi Bridge, Akari attempts to contact the recovering first years. When they find Megumi unconscious, they are relieved. Yuji is holding Megumi's finger, which they intend to seal. 2 days later, Gojo discusses the mole with Yutahime and Mai while Maki and Panda practice. Aoi and Mai meet with the Kyoto High Principal and propose that Yuji, Megumi, Nobara, Maki, and Panda be promoted to Grade 1 sorcerers. Gojo calls them to deliver the news and finds out the group has set off for a shopping trip instead. If you like this recap, do let me know in the comments and obviously leave your like too. Do not forget to share with your friends and subscribe. Above all, activate your notification bell so you don't miss the next recap when it drops. Until next time, do take care and stay safe.